that time again, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, parts unknown. I'm Coach, and I'm with
KC.
And we are Faithletic The Podcast. We are back and in color after a 2-week hiatus.
Yes, sir. I think it's just 2.
I think we missed 2.
Yeah.
Because maybe it was just 1. I think it was just 1.
I think it was just 1.
Yeah, I think it was. 2 weeks ago we did it.
Yeah, that's right.
We were going to do back-to-back. And I'm glad we did tonight because it would have been
2 nights.
Yeah, well, because I'm missing. It would have been 2 weeks or 3 weeks if I'd have missed tonight because I'm out of town next week, and so I wouldn't be able to do the show unless we did remote from Las Vegas, baby.
Viva Las Vegas! Gotta get Travis Kelce
to play that.
Yeah,
I have to play that out on the close tonight.
Get the Travis Kelce sound bite though.
Either that or a little less conversation. That's you used to when I go.
Little less conversation.
When I landed and I get my rental car, I'd plug that in the CD player, and bam, that tells you how old I am.
We had these things called CD players. And actually,
my car actually has
cassette tapes.
Yeah,
as well.
It's funny you say that. So there was a thing floating around on social media this week, and it had like 20 things mentioned and said you might be old if you've done any of these things. There was only one of them I hadn't done, which was MySpace page.
Oh, of course, yes.
I had rotary phone. I had 8-track tape. I had a Walkman. I can't remember them all, but every single one of them I'd done except for MySpace page, which I never did.
Which was basic website building back in the day. It was the first social media. That was my thing.
I did
MySpace.
Yeah.
Yes, I did MySpace. That was the precursor to Facebook.
Yeah.
When I was probably a junior in high school.
Yeah.
People would have blown these teenagers' minds.
Oh my gosh.
One that you had to build the website yourself. They're like, here's some links to build the website, basically.
That's maybe why I didn't do it.
Maybe, but and then also on top of that, you could rank your top 8 people.
Huh.
So your top friends.
Oh yeah, do they all compete for the top 8?
I mean, not only could you compete, maybe mentally.
That's funny.
Oh, but it would have sent kids into an absolute tailspin. Now
that's funny.
So being the teacher that I am, knowing these kids, it would send them into an absolute tailspin. You're not in my top 8. Get over it. Whatever. So anyway, but we've had a few things happen since we last met, though. Yeah, we have.
What's that?
The NFL Draft.
Okay, and we didn't talk about it. Yes.
Yes, and we've had our Oklahoma City Thunder
swept.
Get
out the brooms, people.
Swept the New Orleans Pelicans. So, a couple things that we could talk about tonight. We had 0 pregame what we were going to talk about on the show, so we are shooting from the hip.
Yeah, we are shooting from the hip.
Sometimes
the only thing I have is a Devo, and the only reason I have it is because I got it last week.
Sometimes this is our best work, though.
Sometimes, off the cuff.
I think so.
I've always maintained all along that if you pre-plan it, it's too canned, and it throws me off it's like speeches.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I might have a few notes, and an index card, and bullet points. But I'm shooting straight from the hip.
Straight from the hip.
I can't. I mean, here's the thing: if I write it out, I never look at it anyway. I just won't look at it.
I write it down so it stays in my memory more.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I write it down.
Yeah.
Whether that was a sermon or anything like that, I wrote it down.
Could you use it
when
you're doing sermons? Could you?
I would shorten my little points that I would write down. Yeah. And then in my brain, it was like, okay, you need to talk about this story that you came up with.
Yeah.
I don't even make lesson plans very much. It's just hey, I'm talking about these
bullet points.
Yeah. Here's my main question. Here we go. So, that's
what drives me nuts is I have to plan meetings now, and I have been for a couple of years, but now I have to turn it into somebody and have them review it. Which I was kind of doing before anyway.
Sure.
But now I have a deadline. Before it's like, well, when do you get around to it? Well, now I have a deadline. And I have, like, I'll write out notes on an index card. I don't think I have the one I did for today, but I had an index card, and I don't have it in any particular order. These are things I want to talk about. And then I'll dream it up in my head how I want to present it, and the order I want to present it, but I don't usually put it in the deck that way.
Sure.
It goes however it is. I'm going to work on this topic, I'm going to put it in there, and then and if I forget to get the order in it, it could be trouble. And today
Sure.
I got a little bit out of sorts. I sent it for approval today, or yesterday. I'm sorry. I was supposed to turn it in at 9:00 Monday night. I turned it in at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning with good reason, because I had and we may talk about it here in a minute. Our puppy had a mishap, and it threw up my whole game off on Monday.
Sure.
So, and then when I turned it in Tuesday morning, I heard like Tuesday afternoon, hey, this looks really good, and you got your plan, and you're ready. Probably shouldn't have seen that, because I thought, I'm good to go. I'm good. And then I show up to get ready to present it, and I'm like 15 minutes away, and I go, oh my gosh, I haven't reviewed this again. So
Yeah.
I got a little bit out of sorts today, and I think you could tell it, because usually I'm pretty smooth. I didn't feel that way. Now maybe nobody noticed it.
Sure, but in your own brain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't comfortable.
Because that happens. I lead the last 4 years, I've done basically a school assembly.
Have you been teaching 4 years now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, next year will be my 5th year.
It doesn't seem that long.
Uh-huh.
Does it seem like that long to you?
No.
Yeah.
It seems like yesterday.
Yeah, it seems like it just last year you were.
Yeah, because I started right during the middle of the pandemic. So 2020 I started. So that was my first. I'm like tenured now, or whatever that It's not technically called tenure.
You gotta be part of the family.
Yeah, I'm part of the family now, the Mustang family. So they can't, unless I, flip the kids the bird or something like that. Like they can't fire me, and they still might not. But but yeah. Anyway, I did the school assembly for 7th grade orientation. I've done it. You've done this
a couple times.
Yeah, this is my 3rd time this past year, and I felt like, in my brain, I did not do a great job.
Yeah.
But everybody else was like, "You did so great." I was like, "It was
People
a solid."
Don't know when you
it was
mess
a solid double.
Yeah.
Like,
you felt
didn't
that
hit a home run. Yeah, didn't hit a home run. But it was a solid double.
I would consider you and I both professional speakers.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
I've been paid for it. You've been paid for it.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
So when we don't, it's just like an athlete who, he's playing his game. I missed some points. My body couldn't
exactly.
get
yes.
Same thing when you're speaking.
Yes.
Your cadence, your timing.
Yes.
And that's real. It's kind of like when I'm talking to somebody one-on-one. You got to separate it, because I have what I want to say, and I time how I want to time it.
Sure.
And if I have somebody sitting next to me who wants to interact, I almost got to you need to shut up. Right.
Yes.
Now. And nowadays I've learned to, look, I need you to understand that I'm kind of going down a path with this. I need you to button it up.
What do you mean by
button up? I need you to be quiet. I'm trying to go a path here. I want them to figure out the answer without you giving it to them. And I'm going to walk them down that path. And I get so frustrated with them, like, you're giving them the answers to the test. Stop.
Right, yeah.
Trying to teach people.
Yes.
Teach them to reason through. And sometimes, and I found it, and I've always been that way. I want you to reason through it. There are some younger generation who have a problem with that concept. They get really mad. Because they can't figure. Well, when you try to reason them to get the answer to you, they just want you to tell them.
No,
just tell me the answer.
Right.
Well, it's not going to work like that, and they get really frustrated with you. And I'm talking about mainly millennials. And look, I get myself in trouble. I know you're a millennial,
That's me.
But it's more on the probably the younger side of that.
So probably Gen Z.
Yeah, maybe.
I would say
I've been told it's millennial.
Yeah.
When because I've got, like, and I probably told this story before, but who's listening now probably hasn't heard it. So in my previous job, there was like 5. Well, let's see. There was the owner. There was the secretary, who was the boss's daughter-in-law, and there was a shipping guy, and then there was one other technician, and then me, who was like the lab manager. Okay, so trying to teach him stuff. He was the technician, and his reasoning was just like, just tell me the answer. I don't care. Well, you're not going to understand this, and you need to learn what I'm telling you so you can do it moving forward.
Yeah.
And he would get violent. He
Ooh,
went.
Yeah.
He
Just frustrated.
he got. And I earned. And look, I probably contributed to that because I said something that triggered him, and I says, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
and that triggered an emotion where he went and threw a punch into the file cabinet. And everybody in the room felt a little bit uneasy and uncomfortable. And then I was told by somebody, like, well, you're dealing with a millennial. You have to understand, like, what? That's not insulting.
Not necessarily.
But I guess it could be.
Sure.
After reading up about it, okay, maybe I was wrong by saying that.
Maybe, but it's also, I don't know, like.
This has been about 12, 13 years ago, by the way.
Sure. Then it probably was.
Yeah.
One of us for sure. So. But yeah, I mean, I get it. But I mean, any good therapist doesn't tell you, hey, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
They're gonna
reason you through
they're
it.
gonna give you
What do you think you should do?
Leading questions.
What do you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
And they do it in a great way.
Yeah.
Of like, they're not asking you outright. It's just changing your line of thinking.
Right.
It's probably
think for
like
yourself.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way I was taught that way.
But if you think we're bad, it's the next generation that. And who knows what we're talking about, right? It matters.
Yeah.
It really does, I think. But when you look at the idea of long suffering and problem solving and things like that, it's going away because we live in this microwave society.
Yeah. Look it up on the internet.
Yeah.
Look it up on Google.
I mean, everything is
There's no reasoning.
at the touch of your screen.
Zero reasoning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's an interesting.
We probably, since we're out of season here, I think we probably should be dedicating an episode or two to behavioral issues.
In leadership.
Yeah,
and
leadership
like
and behavioral, and I can get people to come on that can give us some input. And you and I both have considerable amount of expertise in that.
Yeah,
so we could do a whole show just you and I. You're footballing off of it, and I mean, I have a philosophy. I didn't invent most of it. I have sayings that I kind of did on my own, but they're bits and pieces of what I learned from one of my business mentors, and I apply some of those things. Wise sayings make people think. I use some stuff that I heard from Anthony Robbins and from Zig Ziglar. Most people ain't who the heck is Zig Ziglar?
Yeah.
And when I do that sometimes, that's a Zig Ziglar original. They look at you like, who's Zig Ziglar? I said, okay, he's like 100 years old if he was still alive.
Sure,
so
right.
I understand you don't know who he is. But see at the top, you ever heard of that? I kind of heard of that. Well, it's a book he wrote. I mean,
yeah, sure, yeah.
He's a self-help guru. He's very positive, under reasoning through problems in the business workforce and sales and things like that. And
same along lines of who's the guy that everybody uses now?
Tom Hopkins, they may not. John Maxwell.
John Maxwell, yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, that's the same. I mean, I've listened to all his John stuff.
Yeah,
Dr.
right.
Maxwell stuff, and he uses the Bible, and most people don't even know it. Most of his stuff is from Proverbs.
Straight from Proverbs.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I remember him in one of his tapes when somebody had heard him for the first time, and they're sitting there going, "Man, this is really good stuff. Where do you get some of your material?" So you don't really want to know.
Yeah, sure.
And he goes, "Yeah, I do." I said, "Okay, I'll tell you. You really want to know? Yeah, it's Proverbs." Oh, yeah, well, really? I told you didn't want to know, because they didn't want to hear it. But it's a lot of Proverbs in what John Maxwell teaches.
Yeah.
And those are great, examples and things to use to encourage in life and all that stuff. So,
yeah, it's I mean, there's so many principles in my classroom that I've taken from the Bible.
Yes.
It's like,
why not?
I will use the phrase, talking about the tongue being the smallest organ in the body, but also having the most impact and like the rudder of the ship, like that whole proverb and all that. Like if you remember that one where it's like you have the power to either break somebody down or build somebody up with the power of the tongue. And that is something that I'll use often. I also, just the very principle of what my ministry was, our ministry was, Toby Anderson and I.
Right.
But just the foundation was that you're loved and never alone. It stayed on my chalkboard all year this year.
Yeah.
Stayed on my dry erase board.
Loved and never alone.
It was hard to. I had to erase it because state testing. You can't have any words on it.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, I've had somebody. Which anyway,
I'll go back to. But anyway, to a test or something.
That principle though, of like when you walk in my classroom, you're gonna be loved first. Yeah. Like that's the most.
He believes in the philosophy.
I'm not gonna like you, what some of your actions are.
Yeah.
But I'm going to love you through it. Like every kid deserves that. Yep. And so like I'm taking principles that I taught in my ministry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's so important.
It is.
But yeah, I've had state testing or whatever, and I've had somebody from the military say, I was in the Air Force dealing with confidential information at the nationwide level. And the schools are being more top secret when it comes to state testing. Like, he's a teacher, and he's told me that, and it's just like...
It's challenging out there, to say the least, when you're just dealing it with students, which I can't even imagine that. And I've had some association with your ministry because I was able to teach while you were a youth pastor, and in your group, by the way. And then I've got 500 employees, and it's like when I took this new position in the summer, I knew that my role was going to change, and I had to get from one role to another. But one thing that I'm still trying to navigate through is the Got a Minute meeting. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You got a minute?
You got a minute, yes.
And I get at least a dozen a day minimum. Got a minute?
Got a minute?
A second? Got a text. And what I do now I've learned is I don't have a minute right now.
Yeah, right.
Even though I do, I'm going to let them read, because if I don't answer, they'll start reasoning on their own.
Sure, right.
And I've taught them to do that. So what do you think you should do? So, like last night, I actually kind of saw it because I got, I was actually driving home, and I see that got a minute or got a second, and I go, I don't, and I didn't answer. 12 minutes later, never mind. I figured it out.
Yeah,
it's like, yay, it's working.
Yes, but it also is true. It's like that's good leadership right there.
Yeah.
One, you're setting a boundary for yourself, which is really important. That you're like
you're teaching.
100% availability all the time is not healthy for anyone, and so like when you're looking at my kids know is you're not going to get me on the weekend at all.
Do they have your phone number?
No.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, no. But like email wise, like they'll send me emails, and I have some that are like athletes that send remind app messages. So like they don't have my number directly, and I have office hours on there basically saying, hey, this is when I'll reply.
I'll talk to you,
But yeah, boundaries are such a huge thing. Business, ministry, all of those things. And I think that's where I really struggled in ministry, is because there's less boundaries than you could set within the church, just because you don't know when that thing is going to hit the fan, right?
Yeah.
It could be at 9 o'clock at night, and somebody's calling you, hey, how do I deal with this with my whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I realized I set soon when I was at school is like I extended my boundaries to 6 o'clock for coaching. But that's it. Like I'm not available after that. I'm gonna
6 p.m.'s your deadline.
Yeah, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit
Mine's
home.
later than that.
Sure. I'm gonna sit at home, have dinner with my wife, sit at the table, not answer my text messages, anything like that. And I think, setting those boundaries is really important.
You're gonna have to show me how to set your phone for don't disturb on.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
because Kyle's don't disturb, so he's silenced for now.
I am at.
Sometimes I've sent you one anyway.
Yeah, right.
Because I catch it at the last. Oh, dang it!
But at 10:30, it just does that. I'm awake.
Oh, okay.
I'm awake.
And you're up. I know you're up. So you've gotten some late stuff from me lately.
And I say we.
Yeah, we've kind of had.
I know you and I have an agreement.
Yeah.
Like I'm like
we're up late.
We're up late.
Yeah.
I'm up till 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
But like my time, like to myself, I'm usually in my bed.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Same way.
So
I'm in bed. I'm watching TV. Whatever.
Exactly.
It's my downtime.
Yeah. Which is sleep procrastination.
Yeah, it is.
Which we both have.
We have it. Yeah. Well, I've convinced myself, and look, I've tried to turn TV off, go straight to sleep. I'm like staring straight at the ceiling.
Yeah, right. You're trying to shut off your brain somehow.
I need to separate what's going on during the day through TV. So that's an addiction I have, and usually a comedy of some sort, or something that's not too violent, crazy, but like maybe a show I've been following, like those mini series they have nowadays on Hulu and stuff like that. That kind of gets my brain separated.
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, and then sometimes that
the 8-episode series or something.
And I think the turning off of the brain kind of leads to that.
Yeah. Same thing for a movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
just it kind of keeps me, because I'm a big movie buff, and I'd go to the movie every day if I had time to afford it.
Uh-huh.
And it just gives me separation from everything.
Yeah, so. And I mean it's so important. And then you look at the spiritual aspect of that. I don't know. It's so this idea of self-love is really like rampant in today's culture. It's like we realized when the pandemic hit how hard we were working for so long, and there's so many people that like the rat race is not for me anymore.
After they slowed down.
And it absolutely had some negative effects in the long run for society as a whole.
Yeah.
As far as we're just not going to work in these jobs that we don't want to anymore, and so you were seeing a lot of these hardworking blue-collar jobs kind of disappear because they don't want to work because it's not self-fulfilling anymore.
Yep.
Regardless, my point was going to be it's like, but Jesus even took time.
He did
to take care of himself.
He did.
It looks different for everybody. For me, it's listening to some music, playing video games, watching TV, devotion, bed. And I think
that's pretty much the same pattern. I don't play video games, but I'll search devotions late at night. Because I'm director of a small group, or actually lead a small group, and then director of I lead a home group and director of a small group in the mornings in church. And I always open with a devotion, kind of like what we do here. Just open up with a scripture, and I look for those at night. That's what I do. Save them, and actually, the one I used this Sunday. If you're listening, if anybody who's there Sunday, you're gonna hear it again. Okay, so it's a devotion tonight. We need to maybe plan out I don't know what we call it, mental health episode. I don't know if I want to call it that, but maybe a wellness show.
Yeah.
Like a mental wellness or
just
something.
ministry show, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Is like,
in the off season.
It's we're gonna focus on the faith less than the athletic. Part of it. You would say is
faith part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
because that's half of our show.
It is, even though we
talk about the athletics,
and we talk. We do.
Yeah.
We talk the faith part as we go through certain things. We try to incorporate it. Try to bring a scripture in somewhere, and then do the devotion at the end. So if you're listening to it for the first time, kind of get a shameless plug in here. Faithletic is our name, and we try to combine faith and sports. Basically, that's what we do. And then an off season of football, which we're huge football fans.
Yep.
KC is a Chiefs fan. I know you're going to feel sorry for me. I'm a Cowboys fan. So it's really rough right now, and I need a lot of prayer.
It is. It is. It is rough for you.
Well, doing that, why don't we segue into the NFL draft?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got some texts from me on draft night, especially opening draft night.
Yes.
And kind of on Saturday, too. I don't know if I sent you out on Saturday. I didn't do any on Sunday. But it's like I just need to probably go ahead and go to Vegas and start laying odds on certain things because I am such a procrastinator right now on what the Cowboys are doing. It's scary. I'm scaring myself because here's what I said is going to happen. They're not going to get the guy they want. They're going to push the panic button, and they're going to draft somebody that nobody knows about. And then on top of that, it's going to happen in the second and third round because they think they got a shoe-in on somebody, and somebody else has already figured it out. And they wait till the last minute. And they ended up, and I saw it today, Ian Rappaport.
Yep.
Maybe.
Who's
the other guy that does it? Some of the stuff.
Schefter.
Schefter. There's another one. It wasn't Rappaport. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, Joel Klatt.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Cowboys just, they were talking about getting running back. They just overlooked it. How do you overlook that? How do you do not have a running back.
Well, you
do, and everybody that you wanted got picked. They wanted Joseph Brooks or Jonathan Brooks.
So what was their answer?
They signed Zeke Elliott, who won't have. I promise you, won't have 30 yards a game. He won't have 30 yards a game. He averaged 58 yards a game last year.
I didn't even. Because I knew you'd be wound up. I didn't even send that to you. Because I was just like, what are we doing?
Doing exactly what I said they do.
What are you doing?
Doing exactly what I said they do.
100%.
Their draft grade was a D-. D-.
It's the same as the Falcons, who had the worst pick maybe of all time.
Well, you signed a guy for $180 million and you drafted a quarterback? Seriously?
Yes.
And not only that, in the first round. I could see you doing it in the third or fourth round.
So that is who you're dealing with. That's what great. You got the same grade as the Atlanta Falcons.
So Falcons are D-?
Yeah, for sure.
Because of that one pick.
Because of one pick, yeah.
I get them taking the best guy on the board if they felt like he was the best guy on the board. But you don't even let your guy you just signed know, except, has anyone called Kurt yet? Because we need to.
You should probably let him know.
We're walking to the podium, and we need
probably let him know.
Somebody needs to call Kurt and say, "Hey, don't worry about this."
Not to mention, I think Penix is 29 or 28 years old.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's old.
I did not know that.
Let me double check before I say things. Before I say something,
Kurt's not much older than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he got drafted when he was 20. He's been in the league, what?
Yeah.
12 years, so he's 32.
He's my age. He's exactly my age. He's 36.
Oh, he's a little older.
He's a little, yeah, he's a little.
So he's getting towards the end of his rope.
Yes.
I mean, guys.
I guess Penix is 23. I lied.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That is kind of old for a senior, though. Most of them are 21 or 22.
Well, you have 8-year seniors now.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is crazy. And Kirk Cousins is 35.
Okay.
He's exactly my age.
So he's got a 4 or 5 year window, maybe, if he stays healthy. Everybody's trying to trend this on what Tom Brady did. Brady was a freak when it comes to workouts and diet and everything else.
Sure.
I promise you, not everybody else is that committed.
No, gosh, no.
There's a guy out there in the film room was 10 times more committed than Tom Brady, but he couldn't even keep his health going forever. You know who I'm talking about? Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, right? Yeah.
Had more preparation than any guy in history and will ever have, and he couldn't keep it going until he was 40. So people think they got 5 years out of quarterback that's 35. I mean, look what happened to Aaron Rodgers when he tried to do it. He's 37, 38.
Yeah, he's 38
blew
for
out
sure.
an Achilles because his body can't handle the pounding.
Right.
And he doesn't do anything in the offseason because he's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't go through, doesn't practice during two-a-days, if they're not two-a-days, summer camp, whatever they are, pre-camp. What do they call it now? Preseason. So, I mean, we just might as well do away with preseason and go to a 25-game schedule.
Sure sounds like they're talking about not 25.
You can have more injuries, like 20. What do you have, 2 now?
And the first quarter of the season's terrible to watch right now because
everybody's hurt and they haven't had time together. And all
even if they're in the preseason, the main, like, Patrick plays maybe 3 drives in the preseason anymore. Like, that's it. That's all, folks. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Sorry, I apologize. Tired. Long day. State testing. Yep. Volleyball tryouts. All the things. So
anyway. I know the feeling. I don't know. It just I going back to the draft. Disappointed. I watched the very first night because I wanted to see what happened, and I think you got the text from me when they traded the draft because they didn't get the guy they wanted.
Sure.
Well, we're not gonna get the guy we want. Let's go pick up some picks on.
How do you not have a
backup plan? You didn't have a backup plan, and it's what he always does. He has no backup plan. Well, if we don't get this guy, we'll take this guy. They don't. You think you're the only guy on the planet that's thinking the same that guy?
The same thing as you. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, we're good. I got some running backs. They're in the barn. I got them sitting in the barn. They're good. So we're gonna be okay on running backs. Don't worry about it. I got some running backs. So gosh. I mean, I got Deuce Vaughn. And you know what? I think I could probably get Zeke to come back. So we're good. And that's what he did.
He's the Vince McMahon of
he's worse
the
than
NFL.
That. He's worse. Yeah, he kind of is. Don't really care how everything goes. And I'm still making more money than anybody else, so I'm just going to...
So who cares?
Who cares? I'll do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I'm just frustrated. So, tell me about your Chiefs. What do you feel about... What's your draft grade of the Chiefs?
They've got them at an A.
Really?
Yes. Mainly because we have this situation with Rashee Rice with the car and all of that and him speeding. Luckily, nobody died.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, minor injuries, all of that. So there's felony charges, so you're probably going to lose him between 4 and 8 games, somewhere in there. I'm guessing 6 games he'll get a suspension for. So they're a little worried about that, but, last year we had such problems with stretching the field, and they signed Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Yes, good pick.
And... and then you...
Not a fan, by the way, but he's good.
Sure, but he does what you need. The Chiefs need to do.
Yeah.
They need what they, So you have somebody that can stretch the field, and then you draft... Not only that, you trade picks with your conference rivals, who you've been going back and forth with for 4 years. They allow you to trade up. Just by pick swaps. They're not even trading, like, first-round picks. Just pick swaps. And they allow Xavier Worthy to be drafted, the fastest man in NFL Combine history, to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And the last time the Chiefs had the fastest wide receiver in the league, all they did was get a guy named Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And so
this guy's about 100 pounds lighter than Tyreek Hill.
He is 100%. He is lighter. He is tall. He had a 90% catch rate or 95% catch rate, so he can catch the ball.
It's a beanpole.
Yeah, he's built like Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but that was huge. You get a big offensive lineman. They traded up again in the second round for a first name Kingsley. I can't pronounce his last name. From BYU, who is an absolute beast.
Okay.
And then they got another offensive lineman, and they just filled the holes. He signed Travis Kelce yesterday, so you make him happy, give an extension, making him the highest paid tight end in the league. So people are really excited about that, and so the Chiefs did everything we could have asked for this offseason. Signing Chris Jones, restructuring Patrick's contract, getting Marquise Hollywood Brown for a weapon for...
Chris Jones, where was he at?
Defensive lineman for the Chiefs. Yeah, he was on the defensive side of the ball.
Something else. I was thinking about the running back from Green Bay.
They get Drew Tranquill back. They do lose L'Jarius Sneed, but they traded a 3rd-round pick for him. Like, that one hurts. It obviously hurts to lose L'Jarius Sneed, but I think they believe in Trent McDuffie in the secondary, and Jalen Watson can fill in just as well. So they have kind of faith in him. It's just like it was a perfect situation for the Kansas City Chiefs. The rich got richer, I would say. And I don't know if you've ever spent any time on Reddit before.
Really, no. Not really.
The NFL subreddit was royally angry at the Buffalo Bills for trading that pick to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
Because they knew, like, the Bills needed a wide receiver. Xavier Worthy was the highest rated wide receiver on the board, and they basically gave that pick to the Chiefs. And so people were so upset. Somebody said they deserve 10 more wide rights in their history after that. So yeah, that was there was also something in there was like, oh, I can't remember, but it was something about modern problems. Oh, it was trade Tyreek away, win a Super Bowl, draft Tyreek 2.0.
Okay.
And somebody said modern problems require modern solutions. And then the next comment under that was, does having a 2-quarterback system, starting quarterback system, does that require is that a modern solution?
Yeah, maybe.
So there you go, Falcons. More Falcons hate. So, yeah, it was a great draft for the Chiefs. So I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. So here's the Cowboys picks. All right. Tyler Guyton.
You got to have Oklahoma, boy.
Well, yes, and as I've said before, when Jerry doesn't know how to pick, he picks somebody from Arkansas or somebody from Oklahoma. Every year. He picked the guy from Tulsa last year, who was the highest penalized guy in the history of the NCAA. He's done okay, had a good season, but here's the number one thing that they said about Tyler Guyton. You're going to have to develop him. Well, he's screwed because Cowboys have no coaches. Now, they might, with Mike Zimmer, well, he's not the head coach. He's defensive coordinator. This guy's an offensive lineman.
Sure,
but
right.
If you could bring somebody in like Zim, who's a really good coach, I wished he would have took over the Cowboys job when he left and went to the Bengals.
Sure.
But he's a great coach. I don't know if the defense gets any better, but maybe they don't do. Maybe the one thing that changes with that defense is they decide not to get so extreme and run the wrong coverage against a team that they don't match up with well. Like they did against the Packers, right? They just got ate up, and it's like there was no contingency plan. So that was their number one pick, and then their day 2 pick, and actually I think they had 2 or 3, I can't remember. Marshawn Nealon. This guy was an edge guy, I believe, is he not? Has a high motor, 3-year starter.
High motor just means he tries really hard.
Next guy, another offensive lineman, Kansas State, Cooper Beebe. He was round 3, 73rd.
Is that Don Beebe's son?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Actually, I know Don Beebe's son went to a college
and then
around me.
A linebacker out of Notre Dame. That didn't work out the first time you drafted. I can't think of the guy's name right now. Jalen Smith. Morris Lafaye.
Sure.
87th pick overall. 6'2", 234, Notre Dame. He's an Hawaiian, obviously. Kalen Carson, 5th round, cornerback. Usually most cornerbacks in the 5th round are trash. Round 6, 216th pick, Ryan Flournoy, wide receiver out of, get this, Southeast Missouri State University. Now look, you can find Diamond Rub. Jerry Rice went to Podunk U, so why not, right?
That was his line of thinking, you think?
Probably. Work for Jerry Rice.
Work for Jerry Rice.
I know he's another diamond in the rough.
Jeez,
We'll develop him into an all-pro wide receiver. And then you had 2 7th-round picks, Nathan Thomas, offensive tackle, Louisiana Lafayette. And did
he think, Terry Bradshaw went there?
No, he did not.
No, not Louisiana Lafayette.
Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech.
That's right,
It's not the same school.
No,
Louisiana Lafayette is University of Louisiana, I believe.
The Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, that's Louisiana
They
Lafayette.
were good during the pandemic. So was everybody.
And then Justin Rogers, 7th round, 244th pick, defensive tackle from Auburn. There's no notes on the last two, by the way. So, look, they picked some guys. I was kind of looking to see if they, did any D1 programs. Oh, the cornerbacks from Wake Forest. And, of course, the Notre Dame linebacker, the offensive lineman from Kansas State. Those guys are usually fairly well coached. And Dallas has done a decent job of drafting linemen over the last several years.
Sure.
But, what? You're going to have the same quarterback making the same mistake, so you didn't draft a quarterback. You should have gotten a quarterback, and you should have gotten a running back. Because you could have done without one of those corners. You could have done one without those 7th-round picks and at least found somebody. And I don't know who it would have been. I don't study the draft, so I can't tell you.
Sure,
so I'm probably talking out of both sides of my mouth. But you pay guys millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to give you information that you can gather and use and make a sound decision.
Right.
You need to fire the guy that's making a decision or fire the guy that's telling them to make decisions, but something has to be done.
It's the opposite of Brett Veach, who's a Harvard grad that, a statistics guy, they're using all of these metrics and things like that. And Jerry's like, yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, he looks good in pads.
Yeah, looks good in pads. Yeah, I like that thing that Zeke does where you can see his belly button.
Yeah, that's
really cool.
Yeah, he doesn't care what people think of him, so he's gonna go ahead and I like Zeke.
Lord.
Look, when Zeke was doing so, he only had, when you think about it, his rookie year, he was the best running back in the league.
Oh, 100%.
And then it just went away.
He
got in trouble with the trumped up charges. Look, he could have done it, but they had no evidence whatsoever.
Right.
They suspended him for 5 games.
Right.
Just because Roger Goodell can, and because they wanted to keep a thumbtack on the Cowboys.
Yeah, he hates the Cowboys.
He does hate the Cowboys. So, regardless, he had 2 good seasons. He hasn't done anything since.
No.
Guys, look.
He fumbled the ball so much.
Oh, my gosh. I had it earlier. Zeke Elliott. I want yards per season. Yards. Sorry, we got dead.
Great. This is riveting TV right now.
It is. It's not even TV.
But he also had a lot of fumbles. Ball security was a problem.
All right, here we go.
All the
Stats
things.
by season. Okay. So, all right. Rookie year, 2016. By the way, the Cowboys were the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. They lost in the first round to the Green Bay Packers because Dak Prescott choked. Okay? So I'm just going to say that.
Sure.
He had 1,631 rushing yards, and it doesn't say how many touchdowns. Let's just go off the rushing yards, okay? 5.1 per carry. It's pretty solid, right? 2017, he didn't play all the games. He was suspended for 5 games. He had 983 yards, 4.1 per carry. Oh, there it is. 15 touchdowns his rookie year, 7 touchdowns his sophomore year. 2018, he kind of stepped back up. It was his second biggest production of his career, 1,434 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. 2019, 1,357 yards, very productive, 4.5. 2020, 979. I don't know the reasoning. Oh, COVID. So, yeah, 4 yards per carry, 4.0.
Lord.
221. He had 1,002 yards, 1,020. Look, still a 1,000-yard rusher. By the way, the last time he rushed for 1,000 yards, it's been 4 years ago. 4 years ago, okay? And he did 1,002.
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
you and I can do that in 18 games now, 17
Probably.
games. 2022, 878 yards, 3.8 per carry.
Goodness.
He did have 12 touchdowns. That was the last year he was with the Cowboys. You had Tony Pollard having the big runs that would set up, 1 or 2 yards, and then he go in and build a bulldozer at the end. And look, if you want to use Zeke for that, that's fine, but he can't be your primary back.
Sure, right.
They're going to be more productive on the goal line because you can do play action and things like that in short yardage. But and then 2023 with the Patriots, and you'd think that Belichick would have been able to do something with him, make him productive, whatever. He only had 184 carries, 642 yards, and 3.5 yards per carry, only 3 touchdowns.
So what's he going to do back in this system? Like, it doesn't even make any sense, like, what they're thinking. I know you don't know, and
It's just very frustrating.
but it just 100% it is. I'd be frustrated. It's like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
And I understand your. I understand your pain because I was there before.
You've been there before.
Been there before.
Been there, done that. But
there was even a guy that resurfaced this draft season of a fan that was doing a live watch of the draft and recording himself. And he's Patrick Mahomes. This is why we're never going to win a Super Bowl. Like, because he hated the pick or whatever, and he's come back and won 3.
Yeah.
But it's like we were so programmed to think for so long.
Yeah.
This is the way that it is, and it's not that way anymore. But I understand the pain of that. If this endless cycle of. I don't understand what we're doing. The Bulls are doing the same thing right now. So, my childhood team, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Every time there's something with the Cowboys comparing what they're trying to do for next season, I get more and more discouraged. And I already told you, at this point, I'm not watching opening day.
I know you say that.
I don't think I'm going to, because I've already gone out and said I'm not going to, and you know how I am when I say
yeah,
I'm not
you
do
like
something.
to keep your word.
I like to keep my word.
I understand. So you're gonna boycott the first game and then you'll come back.
I don't know. Not if they lose it.
I just don't know.
Have they announced the schedule yet?
Not yet.
When does it come out?
Soon. Because that's the next thing that they do.
Yeah.
It's like kind of the schedule announcement, and then OTAs will be here before you know it.
See if they've got it announced. See if they got it posted. I thought I saw during.
They know who their opponents are.
They do, but they don't have.
They don't have a schedule yet.
So can you pull up the Cowboys schedule for next year?
Yeah, Cowboys opponents.
Or proposed opponents, and let's just see, and then we need to move in and review the NBA draft. Because I'm not feeling very warm and fuzzy. Of course. What else would I think?
Okay,
Cowboys.
so the Cowboys' opponents include. Nope. Why don't you have like a thing? You have Baltimore.
Ooh, that's a loss.
Cincinnati.
That's a loss.
Atlanta.
That's a win.
Carolina.
That's a win.
Cleveland.
Probably a win.
At Giants.
Probably a win.
At Philadelphia.
Loss. You're 4-3.
At Pittsburgh. You'll probably win that game.
Probably 5-2, 5-3.
Yep. San Francisco. At San Francisco. At Washington.
6-4.
Versus Detroit. So at home.
Lose that one. 6-5.
Houston at home.
They might win that one. 7-5.
Yeah, but that Houston team's good.
It's good.
They'll beat New Orleans.
8-5.
Yeah, they'll probably beat the Giants.
9-5.
Yep. Then you have Philadelphia again.
They're home. They'll win that 10-5.
Tampa.
They'll probably win that 11-5.
And then Washington.
They got a shot.
So there you go. It's like 12-5. They're gonna make it back to this whole circus that's gonna happen again this year.
It's gonna be the same thing.
It's gonna be the same thing.
So why should I even get excited about that?
Because
Explain
going
to
to
me.
the playoffs is fun.
Yeah, well, not is if you know they're going to lose.
Yeah, sure.
You got hope of your team.
Yeah, I do. But like, I get it. I get the frustration. But it's also like, I just live for the what if. Like, what if they could string something together?
I just don't want to get my hopes up.
I know you don't. But yeah.
All right. Well, your team did good in the draft. My team did not.
That's the bottom line.
I mean, you're looking forward to the season. I am not. So we'll see how it all plays out. Okay. NBA playoffs. So a little surprising that the Thunder swept. Although when I was watching the guys on TNT or whatever they do their show, isn't that TNT where Barkley and Shaq?
Yeah.
So every single one of them picked the Thunder to win the series.
Yes.
I was a little surprised because some of them don't like them. But
sure.
They were one of them. None of them said he's going to sweep.
No, none of them did.
Now, they didn't predict it, but they weren't predicting how many games it would be.
Right.
They just said they went through all the opening round games and who do you pick, and every single one of them picked the Thunder.
Right.
So the pretty cool thing, if they can not allow them to start thinking about how this is all happening, just go with the flow, they're going to be fine. They're going to, I mean, I don't know if they'll win it, but they're going to be in the finals, the conference finals. And
I sure hope so.
I think if they not, here's a good example. I like to bowl.
Yeah.
But I can only bowl about 2 games because after about the first game and a half, I start thinking about too much and the ball goes in there.
Sure, right, yeah.
The first game, I'm going to throw probably 4 strikes and a couple of spares.
Sure.
And then the second game, about midway through, I can't even figure out where the pin's supposed to be. So this is what I'm worried about the Thunder. They're going to start thinking, yeah, we're pretty good. How are we doing all this? Well, I don't know. Let's try to figure it out. And they try to figure it out. And they do stuff they don't normally do because they're young. They get off their game plan, and they lose.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear you.
This team is different,
This team is built different.
It's different.
Think I just love this team so much. They're so likable.
You have like a team crush?
I do. And I mean, I've maybe missed 10 games this season. That's how much I love this team because they're just so fun to watch. Anyway, that said, since I am so familiar with them, I did feel like it was going to be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. I thought maybe they'd
What's a gentleman's sweep?
They give him 1 game.
Oh.
So I thought maybe it could go that way, but I really felt like this team was built to win, and I also feel like they've been hearing these voices of doubters, of like they're too young, they're not good enough here, like all of that, and I think they were tired of hearing that, So, great team, great win, absolutely loved it. So, good job, Thunder. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next round. I would love to see the Clippers play.
You want to see the Thunder play the Clippers?
I want to see the Thunder play the old Thunder because they got James Harden and Paul George.
The Clippers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
So I think it'd be fun. But yeah, that's my NBA corner.
So who do you think's in the conference finals? 4 teams. Who are they? Because you watch it more than I do.
It's a great question. I think you'll see I think the Thunder will make it
to the conference finals.
Yes, I do. I do think. We don't know yet.
Well, I know that.
So
who do you think they're going to play?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm asking your prediction.
Okay.
Because they got to win this game to get in the conference finals, right?
I think it's Thunder Nuggets.
Ooh.
Thunder Nuggets. They'll play the defending champions. And I think in the Eastern Conference, I kind of think it's going to be the Knicks and the Celtics.
Okay.
I think that's the way that
I got no clue what's going on in the East.
Yeah.
0.
It's a mess over there.
Celtics are pretty good, right?
Yeah, Celtics are good. And then the Knicks have Jalen Brunson, who's really one of my favorite players in the league. So it'll be interesting to watch. So, and I think it'll probably be the Nuggets and the Celtics again. We'll get a rematch.
Did they play last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I hope not. Just because I don't like, unless it's the Cowboys, obviously.
Nuggets are so fun to watch though too.
Yeah, they are.
They got Nikola Jokic and all that.
Did they sweep the Lakers?
No, the
4-1?
Lakers stole one. Yeah,
One.
they stole one.
So I was watching. I think it was the second game.
Yeah.
And I kind of did a LeBron boycott after they beat the Heat beat the Thunder in 2012.
Yeah.
Because I just got tired of the referees just slanting everything towards LeBron.
Sure, it happens.
I did not realize that he is the flop artist of all time.
Oh, they call the kids call him La Flop.
I saw I don't remember if I saw it on Instagram reel or whatever of all his flops, and there was like 10 of them. It's like the most ridiculous flops I've ever seen in my life.
100%.
It's so dramatic
yes.
too. And then I'd already seen that, and then I saw him literally on 2 different calls on the game I was watching that night. I think I texted you.
Yeah, you did.
Put a whistle in his hand.
Yes, uh-huh.
He got a shot blocked.
You did text
and he's
me
over
that.
there at the referee slapping his hand, and the referee calls the foul after the play was over.
Yeah, yes, sir, LeBron. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it looked like.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It sure feels that way sometimes.
Golly. I mean, come on. At least make it look like you're not favoring the guy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just didn't like. I don't pay attention to NBA very little. When the Thunder's good, which they haven't been for 5-6 years.
Yeah,
I haven't paid much attention, and I haven't sat down and watched a Thunder game, NBA game in probably 10 years at least. But
we went to one though.
we did go. Oh, well, I'll take that back on TV.
Yeah, sure.
In person, I did, which was fun.
It was blessed.
Yeah, and I've been to 2 games. So because I went to one last year at the end of the season.
Nice.
But yeah, so I hope they do well. I got my Thunder hat. I didn't wear it tonight, but
I mean, you had the fans there at 1:00 in the morning and welcome them back.
It's pretty cool.
I love that they have such good team chemistry.
Yeah,
they have some of the best team chemistry I've seen at any level.
Yeah.
At all.
And these guys kind of like each other. The last group, didn't?
Nope, they didn't. They all had issues.
They all 3 of them.
They all had issues. Yeah.
If you hadn't had Kendrick Perkins on that team, you'd have had a complete mess.
Oh, 100%.
He was the only. He was like the enforcer.
Yeah, he was
The bouncer.
the
guys.
equivalent.
Hey guys, you don't know what you're messing up here. Just shut up and sit down.
Yes.
Sit down. You sit down. You the big guy, the beanpole guy. Sit down.
Yeah.
You want to get in my car, you got to keep your mouth shut. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna drive. We're gonna put the top down. You be quiet. Oh, and you guy back there with the earrings on and the pink pants, you shut up too.
Love it. Perk's funny.
Yes, I like.
Even to today, he's funny
He's,
with his what he does on ESPN.
yeah. He's a good guy. He's a good character.
Yep.
Okay, so I know that was kind of short and sweet. We'll talk more about it on our next show in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we won't have a show next week. But we kind of let people know what we're about. But while I'm pulling this up, could you just kind of tell people who we are and how to find us and all that good stuff?
Yes, we are Faithletic the Podcast. You can find us right now. It probably equals out at every other Wednesday night until the football season is average. We might have back-to-back nights here and there, but we combine, like we said in the middle of the show, the idea of faith and athletics. We like to look at things from the lens of Jesus, and we're both believers. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we called it Faithletic, is because we wanted to talk about sports and God. That's basically what we're all about. So you can find our old episodes on YouTube right here. If you type in Faithletic the Podcast, there are probably hundreds of episodes on here, extending back 4 years now.
Almost 5.
Almost 5.
We're actually come around our 5-year anniversary in October.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll
start season 5 when football season starts.
We have been after it.
Yeah.
Let's just say that, and we enjoy what we do. It's kind of our sports therapy.
Yes.
Weekly, so that we can just talk.
All 12
sports.
years.
Yep. So crazy.
I'm good with it. What's the name of this segment?
This is called. Sorry, that was a bad lead-in. It is.
I took it away from you a little.
This is called Daily at the Cross with Coach tonight.
Hey, yeah. So, I'm a big, know your purpose, understand your purpose guy, and I teach that. And those that are joining in for the first time or don't know our story, my story, this show is sponsored by Team Black Mentorship, which there are several different entities of it. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have, I guess you would call, subsidiaries of that. Faithletic is one of them. So is Team Black Powerlifting. And so one of the things that I try to teach is purpose. Know your purpose, understand your purpose, live with purpose. And sometimes that's hard to do because things happen in our world and in our lives, and we lose people and things change, we lose jobs. And by the way, I have two very dear friends of mine who, one just lost a friend to cancer, and then I have another one who's on hospice, and actually was my former employer before I came to work for the job I have now. And his wife has had a battle for the last 2 years, and she's just resting comfortably at home, but hearts go out to him. I don't want to mention their name over the air here, but you guys out there, maybe an unspoken prayer for my former boss and his wife. But anyway, so purpose. So people naturally wonder why they're here. Who are they supposed to be, and what are they supposed to do? And they want to know what in their life has meaning, and of course that's a purpose. The answer is like the answer to many life's questions can be found in the Bible. Imagine that. Let's look at Jeremiah 1:4-10. We're created for a purpose. This is verses 4 and 5. As humans, we are created for a purpose, and that purpose comes from God. He says, I formed you, I knew you, I sanctified you, I ordained you. God created us to be well-established, have a well-established purpose, and gave us the means to accomplish that work. Your calling and my calling were put into place before we were ever even formed. Verse 4 tells us exactly what to look for our purpose. Then the word of the Lord came to me. If you want to find your purpose, spend time in God's word through which he speaks to us. Now, how can you start reading the Bible? Well, short response. Just pick it up, okay? Just pick it up. And here's ditching the excuses. I can't read my Bible because I don't have time because those are just excuses. Ditch those excuses. Verse 6 says, often we recognize our purpose, our calling, but we try to run the other direction. Humanly speaking, there are often excuses one can use to avoid the purpose of God and what he has for you. Maybe you make more money elsewhere. Talking about, he wants to change your jobs, and I got a whole show I could do on this. Perhaps the embracing your purpose will make a less comfortable life for you and your family, like Jeremiah, who did not feel adequately equipped for the task. Too young, too old, unskilled. Those are things that come up. It is truly, we want you to find your purpose, and God wants you to find your purpose. You may need to step out in faith, become uncomfortable, and offer yourself to be used by God, which he leads us to do. God equips us. Verse 7, he calls. We are reminded how God equips us for whom he calls by addressing the two issues that Jeremiah brought up. First, concerning his youth. God promises that he himself will be with Jeremiah wherever he is sent. Second, as for Jeremiah's speaking problem, God tells him that he is going to place in Jeremiah's mouth the words to speak. Jeremiah had a speech impairment, by the way. God is not going to call you to a purpose without giving you the tools you need to accomplish his plan. What a concept. God gives us purpose, and then he equips us for his purposes. You may not feel like you have a purpose in your life. You may feel lost and misdirected. I encourage you to seek God's study in his word. Cry out to him in prayer, and follow God's purpose for your life. You get past the excuses and allow him to work through you. And the scripture reference on that, as I kind of went through the phases, their scripture reference is Jeremiah 1:4-10. 10. So, anyway.
Amen.
That was
Love
pretty
it.
good. Yeah, I used that last Sunday, and I thought, you know what? That's good for our show.
Hey, one plug.
Yeah, go.
If anybody ever gets a chance to go to Branson, Missouri,
Oh, yes.
go see Esther.
Yes.
Go see it.
Did you go see it?
I did.
What'd you think?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome from start to finish.
Yep. It's good.
Yep.
We saw it last year.
Did you?
Uh-huh. Tamara's seen it twice.
It's just the scenery is
My wife.
The set is amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
It's amazing.
It's a really good story, and
Great
this is
story.
a great example. Look, we're 10 minutes in over our. We don't have a time limit, by the way. I set an hour, but we used to go 2. By the way, but there's some purpose or meaning or direction in every book in the Bible. And one of the things is never, that God promises is the Jews will never be wiped out. They'll never be wiped out. Yeah. And yet in Esther, they tried. They tried to wipe them out.
Try.
And there's just so much meaning in Esther that if you don't understand it, never read it, have never heard the story, you need to go pick up the book of Esther and read.
It's one of the most interesting stories because in the book itself of Esther, God's name is not mentioned one time.
Yes.
But he's
there.
He is there. And if there isn't anything that's more identifiable, like you can identify with it, it's that. It's that because right now we may not hear God's voice immediately like the burning bush or whatever, but he is still working in our lives 100%, and he's with us.
Absolutely. That's really good. Yep. And then I think Noah is coming.
No, David.
David is coming.
David's coming. So
that'll be really good.
Yeah. Go to Branson and have some fun there.
And there's there's great restaurants there. There's great other shows to go to. There's
we went to Dolly's.
Did you?
We had a blast.
I've done that one.
We had a blast.
But I've been to the Titanic.
Yep.
Titanic, and then the Wax Museum.
Yeah.
And then we've also done some other shows like the $1 Million Quartet.
Oh, yeah.
Reenactment of Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Elvis Presley, and Jerry Lee Lewis in Sun Records for a night. The whole reacted the whole thing. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Blue Man, not Blue Man. Six.
The Six, yes.
They're really good. I was surprised.
I'll keep that in mind for next time.
Yeah, I would do that. Yep. It's not very expensive either.
Yep, it's great.
All right, so it's been real.
It's been fun.
I don't know if it's been real fun.
Yeah, it's been real fun.
It's been real fun.
Yep.
All right, I'm Coach and I'm with
Casey.
And we are
Faithletic The Podcast.
Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks.